everyone. Welcome to Krystal and Courtney's Career Chat. My name is Courtney Ball, and I am the co-host of our YouTube series. I'm also the founder and executive director of CMB Professional Development Agency, also known as Color Me Be. Krystal.
Color Me Be. I am here today with the lovely RNs. I'm going to start here with Morgan A. Harper. Hi, Morgan.
Hi, how are you guys? Thank you for having me.
We're so glad to have you.
I'm glad you
We also have Uzoma Uwaka here. What's up, Uzo?
Hey, everybody. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Great. So we're going to jump right in. Today we are talking to, obviously, like Krystal said, two RNs, and they are awesome nurses, and they're both millennials. So we are going to take the next 15 minutes or so to ask them some questions about their career and also their journey to get to what they're doing today. So let's jump right in. First question to Uzo and Morgan. So we'll start with Uzo and then go to Morgan next. Can you tell us what you currently do? So what is your job now?
I'm a registered nurse, and I work on the med-surg telemetry unit, which is sort of a term for all things nursing. We see everything. But I work on a floor that is not just med-surg telemetry, it's also specialized to neuroscience. So I am a neuroscience registered nurse.
Cool. Very
awesome. And I currently work at San Antonio Military Medical Center, and I'm a critical care nurse. And that's specific to the ICU, and currently I work on a surgical trauma ICU, so all the crazy stuff that goes on there, I guess.
Yeah, and stuff
Wow, cool. So you guys have two very different career paths. So where did you guys go to school, and what was your major?
So I actually took a non-traditional route in getting to becoming a nurse. I started off my undergraduate studies at the University of San Francisco, USF, and I did start as a nursing major. But I was that person who wasn't sure, so I changed my major, and I ended up graduating with a degree in psychology. After that, I took a year off, and I worked sort of in a community that I grew up, a community similar to one that I grew up in. And I realized, I still had this passion for nursing. So I went back to school. I got my master's in nursing. I took about half the year off, and I went back to school again, and I got my doctorate in nursing. So that is what I'm working on right now.
Awesome. Morgan?
Yes, I did my nursing schooling at the University of San Francisco. And I also did ROTC, which puts me at a military nursing specialty. So loved my time at USF, go Doms, and I'm getting my nursing degree there.
It's my turn to ask the question. So my next this one's specifically for Morgan, actually. What are important steps to take during college to improve your chances of getting a position in nursing? I know that in a lot of states, there's actually a great need for nurses, but like Uzo mentioned, and as we all know from going to a school like USF with an amazing nursing program, it can be kind of difficult to stay in a program like that, and it can be very difficult to get into. So what are some tips you would give to someone in college that would like to go that nursing route?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people don't realize how competitive nursing is in different areas. A lot of my peers, when we graduated, kind of dispersed throughout the states, and they found jobs more easily in other places, like in Ohio or in the South, just everywhere. California nursing is just very competitive to get a job straight out of college. So what they have done is actually develop these new grad programs, which is like some 6-month orientee type of program to help transition you from that new nurse with that new knowledge and that fresh degree and that certification of a registered nurse, and then transition you into that working world. It's rare, but even to get into that program is very competitive. So a lot of times for you as the new nurse, being able to really develop who you are and know that it is competition. So packaging yourself in a way that, you know, you're well-rounded and diversifying who you are. So you're not just a nurse, but you also have, you know, you're involved in your community, because that's a part of nursing, is reaching out to the community and meeting the needs of the community, and also being able to, you know, give back in certain areas, even to your school. So that's some of the things you can get involved with while in college to diversify yourself and your resume to be able to get those jobs in those hard positions after college.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great to hear that, because, you know, a lot of millennials are struggling to find, how do I fit into my career? How do I do this like there? So thank you for that. Uzo, so what are some career paths with a degree in nursing?
Yeah, the cool thing about nursing, especially now, is that it's so diverse, right? Not everybody wants to do this traditional bedside nursing thing that we're all so used to seeing in movies. Some of the newer career paths would include research. You know, a lot of people go into nursing and they're not really interested in just sort of regurgitating what they've learned and what's been out there for the last 50 years. They actually want to be somebody who has experience as a nurse, who can do background research from the perspective of, with the nursing perspective. So research is another really interesting career path that I know a lot of new nurses are going into. Also teaching. It's one thing to say we need nurses, but it's another thing to say who's going to teach us or train us. I think those are two new powerful paths that people are taking as well. And another one would be, you know, the world is becoming a lot more global, so people are actually interested in global healthcare. So these things are actually enhancing what we all know to be bedside nursing.
I never thought about that. I never thought, well, because you two are both nurses, but your jobs are really, really, really different. And as we were preparing for this, I realized that there are different ways to utilize your nursing degree. But some of the things you just brought up, that's like such an exciting and it seems like lucrative and also very rewarding career, like to go out into the world and do your thing.
Yeah.
So my next question, kind of switching gears a bit. As a woman of color, I don't know how diverse the nursing field is. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it would really depend on exactly where you are. But as a woman of color in your industry, and let's start with Uzo this time, do you feel like you face any specific issues? And if you do, how do you overcome them or mitigate those issues?
I think nursing is similar to other professions in the sense that you need a support system to really thrive in this field. And you see that from when we're studying in undergrad or at the master's level, whatever, when you're doing your nursing program, all the way through to when you get a job and when you thrive in this job, you need a support system. So we all know that representation matters. So it can be difficult being sort of a minority in this field, just because at times you don't feel like you always have somebody who identifies with the same struggle you've gone through. But what's happening now is because the nursing field is starting to become a little more broad, and they're actually being active and wanting to include, you know, minority women in these roles. We do feel more supported, and we do feel represented, and we do feel like we have partners who are in this. And so, you know, there are organizations that have been, you know, longstanding in the nursing field, like Black Nurses Associations, and then just, you know, groups on Facebook like Black Nurses Rock, where you can go and tell your story. You can hear other people's stories, and you're like, oh, I'm not alone, right? So it can be, I think, being a minority nurse being a minority nurse is just like being a minority student or a minority lawyer. It's good to have representation, and it's good to have support.
I love that there's a Black Nurses Rock. That's awesome. Morgan, what are your thoughts?
For me, I have never worked in a civilian sector of nursing. I went from graduating college straight into Army nursing. So it is a little bit different because I feel like you have the nursing side and then you have this officer side where ultimately they focus a lot on appearance and, you know, what do you bring to the table. So really kind of keeping yourself polished. And sometimes it's knowing what to say, who to say it to, having those type of conversations with the right people, and you need a little help with that sometimes, being a new nurse or a new officer or a young professional. And so, and I think Uzo hit it right on the head. It's having that mentorship or that support group is key. And I know with myself, I have a couple mentors that are African American females and males that help shape me in my nursing career. And like, well, maybe you want to consider this option, or what does your 5-year plan look like? Well, in order to do that, these are the things you may want to do to really help guide you. So getting a mentor that looks like you and has been through that struggle and can kind of help you is really huge. So.
That is a very, very, very good segue into our next and final question. I'm kind of going to put a few of our last wrap-up questions together into one, because as you two know, we recently started CME Mentor, which is a mentor program to connect college students to successful career women in their industry. Morgan and Uzo are both joining us as mentors. Very, very exciting. I was wondering if you two could maybe tell us what is some advice you would give your 18-year-old self, or even your 22-year-old self. So when you first started college, or even, because I remember both of you two at 22 when you had just finished college and you were trying to figure out what to do next. What's some advice you would give yourself at that time? Let's start with Baby Morgs this time. I mean, Morgan.
Okay. What advice would I give myself? 2 things I think are balance and developing myself. So I think I was very involved because I like to do a lot of things, and I like to be either out in the community or being involved with, some type of student council or being involved with ROTC and everything. So you spread yourself too thin because you want to be so competitive. But having balance is really important. Taking time out, not just to be busy, but also to take time to learn yourself and kind of be reflective, because you can't grow when you're just moving and being busy with all the tasks that you're doing or the activities that you're in. You really have to grow just kind of by taking a moment to relax and reflect on yourself. So I think that would be the biggest piece of advice I would give my 18-year-old self.
Agreed. I think we all wish we could go back and kind of tell our 18-year-old self some things to make us a little better today, but that's how we learn, so it helped. Is it?
Well, Morgan, you hit it. You said the 2 things that I would have said, but so just to add to sort of what you said, I think I would have sought the advice of people who came before me or people who sort of were in my position before. And so it just sort of goes back to having a support system and having a mentor and having somebody who can actually advise me, because at 18 we don't even know ourselves, like Morgan said. So, just really being open to other people's advice, or really being active about, asking questions and seeking guidance. That's what I would have also done.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's so important to have that support system. So you guys have already come so far from being 18. It's been a few years now in your industry. So as far as later on in life, where do you guys see yourself in 10 years? We'll start with Morgan.
10 years. Oh, gosh, that'll make me a little older. So I hope to, at that point, be completed my doctorate of nursing practice, hopefully as a family nurse practitioner, kind of work outside of the hospital and more of outpatient facilities where I can work on more preventative medicine. And be able to reach the community, and specifically minority communities where it's really needed. Maybe, I don't know, be married with a couple children. We'll see.
So in 10 years, I'll probably be like, what, 25? Maybe. So, no, in 10 years, I mean, career-wise, I do see myself being very sure of myself as a nurse, and I'm highly interested in international healthcare and what that means, especially in rural settings and resource-poor settings. And so hopefully by then, I'm working on starting a nonprofit organization right now. I would be able to, hopefully in the next 10 years, I can see that nonprofit sort of grow into something that can be replicated in many regions that are similar to the sort of communities that I'm interested in working in. I want to, possibly go into teaching. And I want to also sort of continue to do research that focuses on, my Black women in America, and then African women, especially in West Africa, and just continue to learn in general. So,
nice.
Yeah, thank you.
I love your guys' vision. That's great.
We are going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for being on our show. And I, again, want to reiterate that Uzo and Morgan are both two of our fabulous mentors for CMB Mentor. So if you are interested in applying, or if you are interested in taking on the responsibility of being a mentor or a mentee, please go to our website and at www.thinkcolormeb.com and sign up to be a mentor. Morgan and Uzo, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you so much, everyone. We hope you have a wonderful Saturday.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thanks for joining.